What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. You want to learn how to make your air conditioning smell delicious again? Well, hey, if you have a car like this is my Plymouth Prowler out here. And one of the things, that happens with a car that doesn't get driven a lot is it sits. And, in this particular car, the air conditioning is starting to smell a little funky. And, you can definitely smell it when you haven't driven the car and kind of pop in there. And what ends up happening is that the evaporator, which is in kind of a plastic box inside the car, tends to be a little moist because it's cold and moisture condenses on it. And as it doesn't drain out completely, if there's moisture in there, what it does is it starts to allow mildew, mold, that kind of stuff, trap particulate in it, and it can start smelling like an old sock or a sweaty gym bag and things like that. So in this case, that's what I've got here. So I bought this, and it's called Klima-Cleaner. And the nice thing about Klima-Cleaner by nextzett is that if you soak your evaporator with this, it'll really kill off everything. And so it's going to allow the air that passes over it to smell fresh once again, to not be picking up any of that nasty stuff, maybe even making you sick, but certainly kind of making you feel sick because it smells gross. Now, getting to the evaporator is not the easiest thing in the world, and so I'm actually going to use the easiest method possible for getting to it. There's a number of ways to do it through the evaporator drain plug or through your condenser box and those types of things, but we're going to go through the vent, so let's give it a try. All right, so I'm inside my car here, and like I said, you're going to take this hose and you're going to thread it through the vents. Now, I have seen people showing this technique, and actually what they've done is they've kind of pushed the hose down as far as possible and then kind of dragged it out, filled the whole channel with foam. Now, my objective here is to get as much of the foam onto the evaporator and actually soak it and kind of push through those fins, maybe even get to the far side of it where the blower motor is, and as much as possible soak that. Now, if I fill up the channel too, that's fine with me. Anything that's in there, mold or mildew, hopefully will be killed by this. But what I really want to do is kind of fill up the lower portion of the condenser box itself. Now, I'm going to do it here in the middle, and then I'm also going to do it on the side vents. And, just like I said, try to get as much down below as possible. And what's going to end up happening is once we fill that up, we're going to let it sit. So I've gone ahead and shaken up this can and put the cap back on it. So let's see if we can get this working. And again, it's injecting back there. I'm not so worried about dragging it back, but I will try to fill up the channel a little bit just to make sure that once we're in here, we don't have to get back in here again. And you want to hold the can upright. I can see it back there. It kind of looks like shaving cream. And then I'm going to use a wet microfiber towel or damp one just to make sure I get all this off. I'm not sure exactly what the chemical is, and so I don't want to stain anything or create any discoloration. But I haven't seen anyone mention any problems with that. And might be a little hard to see there, but I can confirm that it is dripping out from that drain plug, which is a good sign, onto my catch pan there, my pad. So that's good that my drain plug isn't plugged, and so that really says to me, hopefully this should work. It'll really clean out that evaporator and nothing's getting clogged and stuck in there to really make this a recurring thing. All right, so it's been 20 minutes here, and as you saw there, it's draining. It looks like it's draining appropriately. I just jumped in the car here because I want to start it up to kind of finish the process, but I can actually smell it. It's got a really strong smell right now, but it doesn't smell bad. It actually smells kind of nice. A little too strong for my taste, but we're going to kind of dry off the rest of this. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to turn on the AC and just make sure everything's on. You're going to turn it on to high, and I'm going to turn it on upper and lower, and it's going to be external air draw, and then we'll just fire up the car here. And then I'm going to just let it sit here and run for about a minute or two just to kind of dry it off, blow everything out of the vents here. Obviously, I'm going to keep these doors open. I've got the garage open, and then we'll shut it off and see what we think. All right, I've actually let this run a couple minutes here, so I'm just going to shut it down, and I will tell you And it smells nice in here again. I was kind of looking in the vents. I don't see any remnants of that foam that was in there. Probably could clean up the car a little bit, but just wanted to do some of the stuff that I can do while it's sitting in here in the garage. But I mean, the strong smell of the cleaner is definitely gone. But man, it just smells good now. Like, I don't know. You know, the smell, like I said, wasn't bad, but it was kind of stale, kind of old car stale. And man, it smells refreshed. I'm really impressed with this. To be honest, I thought something like this would be much, much harder. I've seen cars and had older cars that have had this problem. Never thought it was something that you could do anything about. And the fact that it's this easy and you're doing it through the vents, that is just really, really awesome. I tell you what, I am a believer in it. This Klima-Cleaner is fantastic. It absolutely worked a charm, and as you saw, everything worked just as you expected, and everything drained out the bottom, and everything feels and smells great now. So I would definitely recommend buying this if you have any issues with the odor in your car, especially if you have bad odors. I will put a link to Klima-Clean in the description below. Peter Von Panda out.